Most advice about achieving financial success recycles the same familiar tips. Work hard, set goals, and stay positive. But none of that explains how the top 1% actually operate. Because beneath the surface, many wealthy individuals follow unconventional, even uncomfortable mindsets and habits that they don't always talk about openly. These are the raw psychological patterns, behaviors, and ways of thinking that consistently lead to outsized success. Welcome to Glitch Cult. Today we delve into the less discussed truths about how the ultra-successful think and act when it comes to making money through the lens of artificial intelligence. A lot of people assume success is just about doing more. But when you really study the ones who consistently achieve meaningful results, their approach looks different in ways that aren't often discussed. For starter, they say no a lot, not because they think they're better than anyone, but because they realize that their time and energy are limited. They don't chase every opportunity. They choose a clear path and cut out whatever doesn't align with it. That even includes people. If someone is constantly negative, draining, or pull them off course, they cut ties, even when it's uncomfortable. They also develop the ability to sit with discomfort. Most people try to avoid it, turning to entertainment, distractions, or excuses. But successful people, they expect it. They work through it, not because they enjoy it, but because they've come to see it as part of the journey. And most importantly, they don't wait around for instructions. They take ownership of everything, even things that technically weren't their fault. It might seem unfair, but gives them power. Because if it's your responsibility, you can change it. But if it's someone else's, you're at their mercy. These behaviors aren't flashy. You won't see them broadcast on social media. But they're the quiet habits that separate those who grow from those who stay stuck. So ask yourself, what have you been putting up with that's holding you back? What habits or people are still lingering in your life that no longer help you? And are you truly owning your situation, or just hoping it'll somehow change on its own? Because real progress starts here, not with hype, but with honest clarity. If you've ever wondered why some people just seem to push further in life while others stay stuck, for that, you have to look at what's driving them. It's not always about talent or luck. Most people are waiting for motivation and the right moment. But the people who are serious about their goals, they're often driven by something deeper, something uncomfortable, a fear of being average, a refusal to go back to where they started. Sometimes even a sense that they're not good enough, and they're determined to prove themselves otherwise. This isn't about trauma as an excuse. It's about how some people turn it into fuel. They don't need a perfect plan. They just need something they refuse to settle for, especially on the days when others would have quit. You'll also notice a pattern, that they want control, not over others, but over their own life. The idea of being dependent makes them restless, whether it's relying on a job, someone else's permission, or even just blind luck. It makes them uncomfortable. And once they see that money gives them options, they start building systems that give them more of it. Not because they're greedy, but because they want choices, freedom, and autonomy. They also tend to take things personally in a good way. If something goes wrong, instead of blaming others, they look at themselves and their decisions. That mindset isn't easy, but that's what keeps them focused and sharp. It keeps them learning, even from their mistakes. And they don't need to feel ready every day. They still have bad days and frustration, but their decisions don't depend on how they feel. They move anyway. So, if you feel stuck, take a moment and ask yourself, what's really driving you? Do you have a reason that keeps you going or not? Because without that internal driver, even the best strategy won't last. But when you find something that truly matters to you, something you can't walk away from, people like to believe that they're in control of their lives. But if you really pay attention, you'll see how much of what drives your actions is shaped by your environment. Who you talk to, what you listen to, and what you see and absorb every day. Successful people don't leave that to chance. They take control of their environment early, and they're intentional about who they spend their time with. They're not interested in being around people who complain, gossip, or constantly talk about problems without doing anything about them. They seek out people who are moving, building, learning, and growing. They also guard their physical space. You'll notice they often have structure, not chaos, in their routines. It's not about being rigid. It's about removing friction. If something wastes their time, drains their focus, or pulls them off track, they change it, or they cut it. And when it comes to all those endless distractions, the kind that most people get caught up in, they just block them out. They don't follow every new trend, and they don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Instead, they focus on what truly matters and creates a mindset that keeps their focus locked in. They're also selective about who gets close to them. Not everyone makes the cut, and that's intentional. They understand how quickly the wrong influences can throw them off their path. So if things have felt messy or inconsistent lately, maybe your ambition isn't the problem. Maybe your environment just doesn't match who you're trying to become. Ask yourself, who are you letting influence your thoughts every day? And what kind of space have you built around you? One that supports your growth, or one that keeps you stuck where you are? Because sometimes it's not about trying harder. It's about changing yourself when you can't change the environment. When you start breaking down the habits of successful people, one thing becomes obvious, that they often do the exact opposite of what society tells you. They don't follow the crowd. They don't aim for balance or comfort, and they're not afraid to make decisions that seem extreme to others. Take the idea of work-life balance. Most people think success comes from a steady, balanced approach. But for the ultra-successful, balance is often something they deliberately choose to sacrifice at certain points in their journey. They pick one goal and go all in, and they're willing to sacrifice everything else until it's achieved. It's not sustainable forever, but they know that temporary imbalance is sometimes necessary to make big changes in life. They're also okay being misunderstood. Successful people don't always follow the safest path or seek approval. They take risks others won't, knowing that failure is part of the process. They get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that discomfort often leads to breakthroughs. One of the most powerful counterintuitive habits they practice is selective ignorance. They focus intensely on one thing, blocking out the noise around them. While everyone else is jumping from trend to trend, the successful stay focused on their long-term vision. They don't get distracted by the latest news or what's hot right now. They understand that focus on a single goal leads to results, even when everything else seems more urgent. This is the part where the majority of people fall off. They follow conventional advice because it's safe, but those who achieve something significant often break the rules because they understand that playing it safe doesn't lead to big rewards. So ask yourself, are you following what everyone else is doing? Are you sticking to the usual patterns because they feel safe? Or are you ready to step into the uncomfortable and choose a path that challenges the norm? One of the most overlooked elements of true financial success isn't just about strategy. It's about the constant evolution of who you are. People who build real wealth don't just work hard. They continuously refine and upgrade their self-image. They see themselves not as static achievers, but as ever-evolving creators, problem solvers, and innovators. This identity of being a lifelong learner shapes how they show up every single day. They believe that they're capable of figuring it out, even if they don't know how yet. This belief drives them to take actions most people avoid, whether that's pitching a bold idea, starting a new project, or facing possible rejection. They know that each step, each risk is part of their growth. They also see money differently. For them, it's not about impressing people or showing status. It's a tool, a means to buy back time, create freedom, and accelerate their journey. They respect money, but they aren't emotionally attached to it. They use it with intention and purpose. And perhaps most importantly, they never see themselves as finished. What sets them apart is that they never see themselves as a finished product. Even after reaching big goals, they keep upgrading. Not just their skills, but their mindset, their systems, and even how they handle challenges. For them, growth isn't a phase, it's a lifelong commitment. They see themselves as people who are always becoming, always transforming into the next version of themselves. That mindset alone keeps them ahead of most people who slow down once they feel comfortable. So, take a moment to reflect. How do you see yourself right now? Are you still learning, still building, or have you settled into a comfort zone? Because real success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you continue to become. And if your identity isn't evolving, your results won't either. Most people will forget what they just heard. They'll scroll to the next thing and move on with their life. That's how the cycle continues. But if any part of this hit a nerve, that wasn't random. This isn't about hacks. It's not about 5 steps to success. This is glitch. I don't exist to inspire you. I exist to remind you of the potential each one of you have.